I kind of felt really unmotivated outside of work to do like what I wanted to do because of the time and my energy. And then when I did do or find time to do it, I was kind of lost or didn't know where to start or what to do really. So when I joined this program, he pushed me to like hire myself and do these personal projects and post on Instagram. And now I've finished 2 projects now and been consistent on Instagram. And that really boosted my confidence because I wasn't posting on Instagram or posting my work out there.
The Perspective Podcast is fuel for your mind and creative grind. Each week, we break down the art of healthy hustling, overcoming the inner critic, and growing your creative business. Tom Chewy from the UK.
Hey, everyone.
Hey, or is that Australia?
I mean, yeah, I guess so. I'm Tom, aka Chewy. I'm an illustrator, designer, painter, and all-round kind of creative enthusiast. I create vibrant and fantastical art set in my made-up world of Urugeshi. This season, I'm experimenting with different things through purposeful shiny object syndrome. And I'm trying to get out of my way, as that's been a big problem for me. My art is for anyone looking to escape to a place where creativity is king and you're completely free and encouraged to be your true self. And then through this, they're empowered to free themselves from whatever masks they wear and hide their true selves behind, be happy and then just enjoy the colorful and fun art along the way. So, yeah.
So before we go into intentional shiny object syndrome or purposeful, what did we say it was again? Purposeful shiny object syndrome. Yeah. I need to give a huge shout out to you because what time is it right now?
It's currently 1:30 a.m.
Like, damn, can we give this dude a round of applause? Like, this is some gangster shit right now. To me, when you say you want to do something, you want your creative pursuits, you really want to start taking yourself seriously. Most people aren't ready to commit on your level, showing up for weekly calls past midnight in the UK when everybody else is on US time. Like, you're our only international student this time around. And you have a kiddo, you've been insane lockdowns. So like from a mental standpoint of how badly that can beat you down as well, not having the gym and everything else being locked away, what you're doing is not fucking easy. And you deserve to be recognized for your efforts. And I know we've had like a lot of internal battles we've been fighting through. And at the end of the day, like this program's so much bigger than just creating dope work. It's like the inner battles that set the tone for the next 12 years, the work that we do in the inner work right now. This is what leads to the external results. So I want to like just give you a round of applause from everyone, for the efforts that you're doing, because what you do is not easy. It takes so much commitment. And this is truly like treating your side hustle like it's your full-time job. And if you kind of want it, then you're going to kind of get results. And you clearly show you want it.
Yeah. It's definitely been a challenge, a challenging 6 weeks even to get to this point. And I think a lot of it, I had a kind of realization this week, I think, where I feel like I came to this program expecting to kind of get like practical information, I suppose, and stuff in terms of like, how to hashtag and that kind of thing. Whereas actually I think, and I felt like that was the reason why I wouldn't be posting and I wouldn't be sharing it. It was like in my head, I was thinking, I don't know how to do this, so I'm not doing it. Whereas actually I think we've talked a lot about imposter syndrome, calling myself an illustrator in my pitch today was like the first time I think I've done that out loud to anyone else. It's been a really big part of my kind of struggle. And I think actually that is, I was using this idea that I didn't know what I was doing as an excuse to not be sharing stuff. But actually it was my kind of, I was getting in my own way. It was my own imposter syndrome that was just holding me back. And I think for anyone who's feeling that way, I think it's just getting like the first post out. Because I think my first post was the day of the winter coaching program that you ran, because I was like, I've got to have something out there when I kind of say hello to everyone, because otherwise it's just, they're not going to see anything and know anything. So I was like, it forced my hand, and I'm so glad that it did, because it's helped me realize that I can do this. And it doesn't mean that it's gone away. This week especially, writing the elevator pitch has been challenging and reared up some of those imposter syndrome feelings and stuff, because now I think it's one thing to have, in your head, like where you think you are. It's another thing to then kind of like, I've written this down, I've shared it with people, I've, now said it out loud on a podcast kind of thing, and I think so, yeah, it's been, and that was a really great sort of revelation, I think, for me this week.
We think, speak, and act ourselves into existence. So the more you continue to illustrate in your work and call yourself an illustrator, the world is going to start seeing you as an illustrator. It's going to mirror what you believe and think about yourself. And that's for all of us. If you think you're only the kind of person who does shit when it's convenient, you don't think you have what it takes, well, guess what? You're going to be viewed as a hobbyist. Yeah. And let's talk a little bit about what didn't work for you and what we've landed on, because there's no one size fits all creative career path, or like what is working for someone else in the program may not work for someone else based on their psychology, based on their circumstances, based on their current life settings, so let's talk about, where did purposeful shiny object syndrome come from? What wasn't working? And then, what did you kind of just tell me, like, Scotty, this isn't working for me, I need something else? And what did we land on?
Yes. So when in our very first call, we talked literally about the complete opposite, and about adding restrictions so that my brain wasn't so overwhelmed all the time with like all these different ideas. And so we said, like, it'll be digital, and that is the medium that we're going to work with for the start. And that worked really well for the first couple of weeks, and it let me, because every time I came to start my next idea, it was actually, I already know half of the answers, because it's going to be digital. It's going to be, I draw it on my iPad. Great. I don't need to think about like colors necessarily, and like paint and whatever else. And that was great for the first sort of month or so. And it really did help me get out of my way. But what I found was that I missed having a tangible thing. Like, I felt like my work was, I was posting it on Instagram, and that was kind of it. Like, it didn't feel like it didn't feel like it was something that I could, sort of stand away and feel like I'd created something, I suppose. And so I know that I've always been a shiny object syndrome kind of person, like in all kind of facets of my life, and I think I when we started, I came at it as that was a problem for me that needed fixing. Whereas actually I felt like after this first month, I was itching for all these different ideas, and I wanted to find a way to turn that, like what I saw as like a weakness, into a strength, basically. And so we talked a lot about how I can still unite everything in the work I'm doing, and how I still want to grow my own world. I still want to share that. I still want to, go deeper into that and see everything, and being able to share that in different ways, whether that is something tangible like painting on a canvas, or whether that is turning one of my characters into a, figurine that I can paint, or whether that is, screen printing, or whatever the medium is, just having that as kind of something tangible that I can then show people, and I can put up on my wall, and I can hopefully sell one day, And I think we then talked about like, okay, how do we turn this into into not just, every week have a random thought and just go and kind of, have a plan and have an idea for where for how these things sit together and stuff. And so that's where that's where I'm working towards at the moment. I don't feel like I still feel a little bit like I'm still having this, oh, this week I could do this, oh, this week I could do this. But collating everything into a plan and having more of a kind of forward thinking idea has been great. But then also still letting that kind of like, well, this week I'm going to do something completely different from last week, but that sits in my world. And so that is okay. And that feels like I'm so happy that we've been able to talk about this shiny object syndrome and make it something that feels like a strength as opposed to a weakness, because it's always been something that's plagued me before.
Definitely. And I think the main thing to hit at this from is like, we're still doing constraints, but I talk about variables and constants within one's work. And so for you, the constant is everything still lives within this world, and you're still an illustrator and a designer at the end of the day, different than what you do at the day job. But then the variables are the mediums, the subject matter. One day you might be able to do a quote within this style of the world. The next day, maybe you can make like a 3D character. The next day you could do a digital painting. The next day you could do like a canvas painting. So, or the branding, logo and identity system for it all too. So as long as it all aligns. So to me, shiny object syndrome normally is just getting distracted by things that are cool opportunities that don't align with the bigger picture, but this is purposeful. So with what the season that you're in of really like owning yourself as an illustrator, going deep into this own world, I think it's totally healthy to do purposeful shiny object syndrome versus like feeling like you got to niche down for a season in one pass. So this is a perfect example, like what works well for someone else, like, I'm going all in, may not work best for someone else who's just like, man, there's so many things I want to do. And we talk about going in sprints. We're doing little bitty sprints for this season versus like, hey, I'm going to do all digital for 12 weeks and then all this for 12 weeks. It's like, man, maybe a week or two here for this. Let me pivot and try this. So like, I think that's a powerful thing for someone else out there who may be struggling. Be like, man, I have a hard time just picking a lane for that long.
And I think as well, it also, we talk about like actually maybe one of those lanes then becomes the kind of permanent thing, I suppose, because at the moment where I'm still exploring things, it's, there are opportunities. And I think part of that is because I'm also exploring my world. I've had this world in my head for a year or two or something. And now that I'm actually turning it into tangible things, that world is changing slightly and that world is growing slightly. And so by that also, by me exploring that world, I'm also getting to explore that world in different mediums. And actually it might be in a month or 3 months or a year that actually it's settled on, right, this is how this world is going to look. It's going to be in this type of format, in this medium. And I'm okay with, I'm comfortable with being at a point where that can be consistent as well in terms of the medium, but I'm also excited and happy to explore different things.
Right. And just naturally, organically let it come to you. If you hit that season where you finally find, hey, this is working for me, this is what other people are really vibing to, what happens if I just go a little bit deeper, and then when that bridge comes, we'll cross it and, I got your back. So is there anything else you want to sprinkle on top before we move on to Jen?
No, I don't think so. I think that's been everything that's happened pretty much this week, and it's been some great revelations and stuff, and it's been great to hear. So thank you.
Well, you're doing an incredible job, and you're helping me become a better coach too by not like forcing one way of doing things on someone. So that helps me grow as well. So I appreciate you, brother. And
thanks, man.
Yeah, I think we've had some good talks along the side to keep this train rolling. Get you back on track. So you're crushing it.
Thanks, dude.
Proud of you, man.
Appreciate it.
All right, we got Jen, Miss Plant Nugget over here.
Hello.
And speaking of like leveraging your day job to fuel your dream job, you just got off work a little bit ago, right?
Yeah. My schedule today was a little different.
All right. Well, let us know who you are, what you do, why people should care.
Okay. So hi, everyone. My name's Jen. I'm the maker, designer, and artist behind It's Jen Made. I create empowering lettering pieces that revolve around personal development for creatives who relate to my past self, the one that felt as if she was running out of time and she was caught in the scarcity mindset and often felt like she didn't have enough accountability. So through my lettering pieces, I hope to push them past limitations that they set on their own and help them become their most happy and passionate self.
Way to go. Yeah. Was that challenging for you too to get that elevator pitch? I feel like y'all are all crushing it with this.
It's a little hard to say it. Like in my head, it sounds, oh yeah, I can totally do this. But once you're like talking it or speaking it out loud, it's just a whole different feeling.
It's weird, but at the same time, it's like, man, all of you are just like publicly stating and speaking your like future self you want to become into existence. Like that's the powerful thing. Now, if someone stops you on the corner, find a little condensed version of that, like, and speak that shit with your truth. You don't got to tell them, well, I also do this for a day job and this and this. Like, no, speak from your passion, speak from your side hustle pursuits. So, what's on your plate right now? What do you want to talk about?
Yeah. So, today I wanted to talk about setting boundaries within my like work from home life. So usually, normally my work days start at 7 a.m. and I finish work around 3:30, and then I have a couple hours to catch up on coaching things and my business. And then around 5-ish, that's when everyone gets home, or when everyone else is done with work too. And it gets noisy in the house and there's a lot of activity. And where I work, it's in the basement, and right above the basement is the kitchen. And that's like a very high activity area. So it's been hard to keep that focus and productivity when it's just so distracting. So I guess my question is, how do I set and communicate a boundary or a guideline to be productive in the hours outside of a working day?
So it's a little bit different when you live in a place with other people. You can't really tell them, hey, don't be in the kitchen during this time. So, one, do you have noise canceling headphones by chance?
I do.
Okay.
They help so much.
Okay. I'll just say, boom, bingo. There's number one. 2, what time do you go to work?
I start at 7 a.m.
7 a.m. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And you work from home?
Yeah.
What time do you go to bed?
Midnight.
Midnight. Ooh. When's your prime working hours? When do you have the most willpower?
That's hard to say, because before I had this job, I like to work really late in the night, probably like 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. Gross. But I can't do that anymore.
What time is your job shift again?
7 to 3:30. I actually don't have to work within that time frame. As long as I get my 8 hours in, that's really all my manager cares about. So there is a little bit of wiggle room in there. It's just that I like to start my workday early, so I can, once that's out of the way, I can totally focus on my business after, and like those 2 hours where it's still quiet in the house.
When are those 2 hours quiet in the house?
From like 3:30 to about 5:30.
Okay. Are you utilizing that in the meantime to grind, or has that been a struggle?
It's been a little bit of both. Like some days are really good, then other days not so good. And I'm sorry, I don't want to make this an excuse, but my allergies are so bad. And they're so distracting.
Get some Allegra. Go get something to take care of it, because I got allergies bad too. But at the end of the day, I'm going to call that shit out for sure. For sure, because I deal with them too. So I'm like, if I can deal with it, you can deal with it. So at the same time, I'm a big believer. Okay, if I was in your shoes and I struggled with this, and it feels like just by the end of the day, maybe I just don't have the juice or the focus or whatever to put in my day job, knowing that you have the flexibility to like move your schedule a little bit versus staying up super late, I'd be like, man, if I was you, because I'm solely speaking for what worked for me, man. I would like move that shift back to 8 a.m. and then I'd be grinding from like 5:30 to 7:30. So like when I had the day job, I worked a 7 to 4, 7 to 4, 7 to 3:30. And then I was up at 4:30 grinding before I clocked in at the day job. I put my dream first. So that way it's like, man, I put myself first before I clocked in on someone else's dream. And I know that's not easy, but at the same time, then you got to jump on your day and then say you still got done at 4 o'clock, or maybe you got like an hour later to do it, or maybe you can go skate to a coffee shop and do it, or maybe there's like a co-working space somewhere. But I think the boundaries are like, hey, yes, I'm in this work mode right now. Like I got to do this. Please just don't come and bug me. You can't tell them to shut up. So as long as you can like have noise canceling headphones, get some music going and let them know like, hey, don't bug me unless it's an emergency during these times of the day. Like I would over communicate that. But if I was you, I'd be like, man, I'd be putting my dream first. And then you're going to find like, it's way more productive. You're in like your peace and quiet. The world can't bug you. And then you already got like your biggest task done for the day, or at least started before you go and do your day job work. I'm just like, man, that is not easy. But to me, that's like powerful. But if that's not something you want to do, at least we know like, hey, I'm going to hold your ass accountable. We're not going to use allergies as an excuse here. You know, I love you. And I would never let anybody use it as an excuse. What's kind of in your head right now from here? Is this comfortable telling boundaries to people like, hey, this is my work time, and I think people respect that. If they don't respect that, then that's going to cause a little bit of friction. I'm sure we'll talk to Kirsty in a little bit about that, like boundaries with people. But what I've learned is like people really start to take you seriously the more you take yourself seriously. So by just like announcing, hey, here's my boundaries, this is my work time, people will be like, oh shit, Jen's not a hobbyist. And then when the results start showing and things start blowing up, people are going to be really like, wow, okay, yeah. Wifey didn't take my boundaries seriously in the beginning, and now she totally understands. So I think that's a number one important thing. So what else is kind of on your mind with this? I'm throwing a lot at you. Maybe it's not what you want to hear, but that's not why you hired me.
No, I think it's all good. I've been trying to work on waking up earlier. So since I start my days at 7, I used to wake up at like 6:50.
Oh, wow.
And then just run downstairs and clock in and go straight to work. I've worked up to 6:30 now. So maybe next week it'll be 6:15 or 6 o'clock, but it's going to take me some time because I also love sleep. So, I just got to shift things around.
So what time are you normally going to bed though? If you love sleep and you're going to bed midnight or 1 and then getting up at 6:30.
Yeah. What is that? 6 hours of sleep? Yeah. 6.5.
Yeah. My fitness nutrition coach is like, nope, that's not enough. That's not enough, when I'm so used to like 6 or less all these years. And I'm not also going to say, hey, there's only one size fits all. Get up early. It's going to change your life. And maybe you're more productive in those late hours. But I know for me, like I'm worn out at the end of the day, especially when I stop taking stimulant-based pre-workout. Like I am dead. I'm going to crash so hard after this call, so I can't do my best work. And normally like drawing for me happens at night. But like I'm a big believer in what is the main important task that's going to move your business forward. And how can you do that the first thing in the day before you put anything else ahead of it? To me, there's power in that. Like that's what changed everything for me. That's what set the tone for me to do my thing full time, is because I figured out how to figure out what is my top task each day, how to plan it the night before, and how to attack that shit first before I went and made someone else's dream happen. So I would love to really push you down that route. But if that isn't it, then we really need to crack down on how serious you're about to take yourself during this time frame of, what'd you say, 3:30 to 5:30?
Yeah.
After work. So if in the morning doesn't work, then it's 3:30 to 5:30. And then you really don't have 2 hours a day, or what are you doing later into the evening?
It's not that I don't have the time. Usually the time after dinner, I reserve it for just quality time with my boyfriend and family and stuff like that, because, it's COVID and stuff. So I don't see them as often.
So you have 2 hours a day to grind. Is that what we're pretty much agreeing on?
Yeah, basically, I guess.
You realize people would kill to have 2 hours a day to grind. Do you have a lunch break in there too?
I do.
How long is your lunch break?
30 minutes to an hour.
30 minutes to an hour. So we easily have 2.5 hours to grind each day.
Mm-hmm.
So are you planning your attack the night before? Do you know exactly what you're going to work on the next day?
I don't do it the night before, but what I normally do is I have a to-do list at the end of the week of anything I need to catch up on or things I need to get out throughout the week. And then on the weekends, I schedule all of that in. But now that I'm thinking about it, I have that list, but it's not really broken down into priority levels. And I think that's something I need to start doing.
Yes. You did that webinar training with me in terms of like, anybody can just have a big ass list of things, but like, what's an A task? What's a B task? What's a C task? And to me, when you just have a whole big ass list of things, they're all on the same level of priority, you know?
Yeah.
And so something that may not be super important, that's a B task, is then taking up your A task time. And you're just not seeing results is because you're not working on A task work. You know, so if I could give you one action item, it'd be like, yo, the night before, if I could, everybody listening, every student in here, plan your attack the night before. Plan one big thing a day. So say your main A task each week is just your personal project, you know, the series that you're working on, a 3-part series. So that one main A task this week, and say you're going to post, for example, when are you posting your first one?
I was supposed to post it today, but I'm posting it tomorrow, 11 o'clock a.m.
So then Tuesdays is when you're going to be posting. That is your A task. So then Wednesday, your A task that day is going to be like, okay, I need to thumbnail my concept. Then Thursday, the A task for that day is I need to start scaling it up and working on like a to scale size. And then maybe the next day it's I got to do first round of inking. The next day is like final inking. The next day I got to do color. The next day I got to finalize the edit, do the caption. The next day I'm going to schedule all that out so it's all good to go the next day. So that's how I take that one main A task for each week. And then I broke it down into one A task per day. So now you wake up and now you're on your lunch break. I got 30 minutes. Oh man, I'm on thumbnail sketch mode, you know? And then the next day it's like, okay, I got my 2-hour session to grind. I can put a dent in my A task there. I can knock it all the way out. So like, to me, that is like truly the most tactical way to truly like be productive and become like a productivity machine. Instead of feeling like you got to climb Mount Everest today with 1,000,000 tasks. It's like, yo, the one thing, what is the most important thing going on in your life right now? Is that your creative dream and getting your shot back going again? So what other interests or shiny objects are coming in? Is it freelance? That just seems like a cool opportunity, but is it really holding you back right now? Is there something else cool that is a nice to have? And by saying yes, is it taking you away from your top A task? You know, so are we saying yes to B and C tasks during the week, or okay opportunities that aren't hell yeses? So that's really the thing that we all need to do some gut check time around. If you're feeling like we're not making much progress, I want you to take a look in the mirror and be like, how are you attacking this right now? Are you saying yes to things you shouldn't? Are you approaching each day with like a killer focus of like, I know exactly what I'm going to work on? I don't want students to guess what they're working on each day. Do you feel like you're kind of guessing each day? In a way?
That's a little bit. Sort of. It's like when I'm writing down the to-do list, I don't prioritize it, or it's not written in priority, but it's in my head. So I know what's going on in my head, but because it's not written, it's not really set in stone, you know?
There we go. Ding, 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 ding. It's like the same thing. Oh, I have a process for this. I'm like, do you have a process written down? Well, no, then you don't have a process. Oh, I have a goal this year. Well, what's your goal? Is it written down? No. Okay. Then you don't have a goal. So it's that exact thing. Like, I really want you to, before you go to bed each night, or just like have a Siri reminder. Hey, at 8 p.m. Hey, Siri, at 8 p.m. every night, remind me to plan my attack. You know, and Siri reminds me, and she's listening now. Oops. But yeah, every night it flashes up there, like plan your attack. And I want everyone to encourage you, just start with like one big task a day. And then we can go to like, here's an A, B, and a C task, or here's 2 A's and a B and a C. You know, we got to find what works for you. But I think for you right now in this season, like plan your attack the night before and just plan one big A task. And I guarantee within like a week or two of doing the system, you're going to really see a lot of progress. Like I promise, this is like the most simplified way to really like make the game winnable. So
For sure.
action item, you're posting tomorrow, right? So what would your
Yes.
A task be tomorrow after posting?
Interact with my community.
Okay. In terms of
post it to my story.
Post it to your story. Okay. So once that say this project this week's A task is your main A task is complete. What's the first mini A task the next day then?
I need to start working on my reel.
Your reel? Okay. So you're just repurposing content. I was meaning for like the next piece. Like, is it a sketch phase?
I'm sorry.
You know, like I'm talking about week 2, next piece. Okay. So A task number 1 would be what?
Start sketching the next piece, some concepts for it.
And give yourself like, hey, I have this time. I have 2.5 hours today to lock down that initial sketch, and then just call that shit done. All right. Don't over romanticize it. Doesn't have to be perfect. 85% is better than someone's 0%. And then what would the next task the next day be? A task would be for you. So sketching this day would be done.
And then refine one chosen concept.
Boom. You see where I'm going with this now. And this is how you become a beast during your 2 hours and then that half-hour-ish lunch break. Like this is going to be a system that I truly feel like you're going to shine with. So I am going to follow up with you, let's say like Thursday, I'll be following up with you. Okay. Do you have anything else you want to add to this? No, I feel like I'm grilling you on this one, but I feel like this is going to be helpful for so many people.
I don't have anything to add. Yeah.
If you have something afterwards, you hit me up on the side. Okay. You're really good about that.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work, Jen. I appreciate you. And take care of those allergies. Go get something. You can jump off the call right now and go find something to take care of them. I totally understand. Get that holistic healing. And all right. Next up, we got Kirsty.
Hi. Hello. I'm Kirsty. I'm an artist and creative from San Francisco, California. I create these bold illustrations that explore difficult themes of mental health to help inform and empower others that might need it. And my work is for those that struggle in silence, that need to feel seen and heard so they know that they're not alone. And ultimately, the goal is to offer support and help break the stigma that surrounds mental health.
Yeah. Just flexing on your work right now. If you could talk a little bit, because we've done a lot of internal work on the side as well. Can you talk about coming into the program, where you're at, and just like where you are right now in terms of mindset and wins that you've been having? Because this is bigger than just creating dope work at the end of the day. This is bigger than, oh my God, I'm posting my weekly project each time. Let's talk about some of those wins that we've had behind the scenes.
Yeah. So before the program, I was just working all the time. I work in advertising, and Danielle, similar, doing a lot of commercial creative art stuff, but I knew I wanted to do something a little bit more meaningful that had a little bit more impact. And I knew mental health was always kind of something that I wanted to explore, like with my art. And I also kind of wanted to get back into my own art because it's been so long since I've even picked up like a pencil to draw for myself. So, just through the program, I kind of fine-tuned that, like what I wanted to do and how I wanted to go about doing it, and like actually started to come up with like these themes that I wanted to explore and how I wanted to try and like share what I've learned on all the years that I've been in like therapy and stuff like that. So, that's basically where I'm at now. I feel a lot more empowered now that we've been working together and like working with this group, that I feel a lot better about the work that I'm doing and starting to make that impact at least a little bit. At least I hope.
For sure. Well, I think the impact starts with you first, and then it's going to ripple onward. I think like the main thing is like, even just in your captions and opening up, keeping shit real, not living in that toxic positivity world, like truly keeping it real. Like if you could talk about just your current series a little bit, just so people can really get a grasp of what you're doing. within your work, and then we'll talk about like the big struggle that we had talked on your check-in.
Yeah, for sure. So the series that I'm working on right now is basically shining a light on cognitive distortions and like maladaptive thoughts. So far I've posted about catastrophizing, exaggeration, and then control at all costs. And there's a couple more that I'm going to be doing, like all or nothing thinking, perfectionism. There's another one about disaster expectation. There's a couple more, but yeah, that's where I'm at so far.
Yeah, you're doing a great job with it. And let's kind of talk about the current struggle, because I feel like this one's going to hit home with a lot of people.
Yeah. So the past week and a half, I've started to like really focus on setting boundaries for myself at work and communicating those boundaries and trying to, enforce them some way so that I can protect my time and like actually work on my passion project and my side hustle and like spend time with my family instead of having work like bleed into my personal time. Right. But well, for the most part, it's been received really well. I'm really fortunate to have a lot of coworkers that respect my boundaries that I've set, even though I hadn't had them in the past. So it's been good, but there have been a couple people, 2 specific people in general that aren't actually respecting those boundaries. They're actually, I guess you'd call them like very strong personalities. They're kind of like steamrollers. And
dominant. If there was like distraining behavior, they'd be a D.
Yeah, definitely. They're very dominant people. They're kind of the type of person that if they walk into a room, like everyone kind of like, okay, I know who that person is. You know what I mean?
Take notice.
So,
Yep. Been in that scenario with the corporate world for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So I did what I had to do. I pushed back. I said no. I tried to like enforce my boundaries, but they would not take no for an answer. And eventually it just got to the point where they broke me and I just ended up doing what they asked me to do after hours. Only because I didn't know how to respond at that point. Like it just kind of fell back into those old habits of, people pleasing. And afterwards I just felt horrible because, I tried so hard to maintain these boundaries and like keep that line in the sand drawn. They just decided to erase it. And I didn't know. Yeah. So, I guess my struggle is like, how do you even navigate personalities like that? And, just like, how do you be assertive without coming off as like a jerk, I guess?
I feel like with a dominant, trying to be dominant back to them is just going to butt heads for sure. Like I've had to do so many like psychological trainings in the work atmosphere, which made me like a way better coach because of it. Now I get a vibe of like, how is this person wired? How am I wired? How can I like change my approach to get the result I'm looking for in a sense? So, I don't feel like I have the perfect answer, especially because I don't know this person. I don't know the context. I don't know. Is there consequences if you were to say no? Is there?
Well, they're a creative director on the project, and I'm only an associate creative director. So I report to them in the project. So I had producers on my side. I also have my manager, like, reiterating that, hey, she can't be on this project. You can't tap her for it. But she would keep tapping me on the side anyway. And I try and like redirect, like, hey, can you talk to the producer? They can find someone to help assist you with this. I can't do it right now. I'm not allocated for it. But that didn't make a difference.
Ooh.
So
what happens if you say no? What is the worst case scenario? Like clearly everybody else like loves you. Job security is there, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Is it just an uncomfortable tension then if you
yes.
stand your ground with it? Or what's the worst case scenario?
Like for me, it's mainly a personal thing. I feel like I have an issue. I don't want to be disliked by people, I guess, if that makes sense. I don't want to be disliked on a personal level. And then also I don't know if it'll create like a rift between us when we have to work together again in the future, if it'll make things more difficult. Like, I'm not sure. There's like that. I just want to be able to get along with people that I work with,
Man, it might sound like in the future you have an uncomfortable conversation with them coming too, to be honest.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. It sounds like that is looming if they continue to push this. But at the same time, so here's what I wrote down for notes. I used to shy away from conflict for easily like 20 plus years. And I realized this, like connecting the dots, doing my own therapy to myself. My parents are wired that way. My mom literally even tells me she like doesn't like conflict. And I grew up not liking conflict, and it influenced me. Hence why I allowed myself to get bullied for like 2 decades. I was scared to stick up for myself. However, as a recovering people pleaser, which I am too big time, I realize conflict is inevitable. And if I want to boldly transform into the next successful version of myself that I like foresee in my mind, like I caught a little glimpse of what I know I'm capable of. And if I just get out of my own way, I feel like I can accomplish everything. You know, I used to not be wired like that. It took a long time, but if I want to boldly step into that next version of myself, I need to go with my gut and stick to my guns, which means uncomfortable conversations, which means butting heads with people. And some people you're just naturally going to bump heads with, especially D-type personalities in a big time working atmosphere, whether it's corporate or whatever it is. Like, you can't get around it. You know, we got to figure out what wires them. You know, hey, I can't do this today, but maybe I can do this, this, and this, and this for you tomorrow, or whatever. Find out how they're triggered, how they're wired. Look up how to, like, here's an action item, is look up how to communicate with D-type personalities or whatever type of personality they are. I would go and like look that up, because that might give you some secrets and stuff. Cause I had to go and take trainings on it too. Like, there's some really hot-headed people I had to work with, and I had to figure out like what motivates them, what pushes their trigger buttons, in order for me to like tiptoe around it to get the best result. And it wasn't always perfect, but it really, really, really helped out. But overall, as we're all learning, we have to value our time, our energy, our priorities, and our boundaries. And you felt like shit after that, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So it's like, weigh the pros versus cons. What's the worst that can happen here versus like, what's the worst it's going to do for your mental state, the time away from your family, the time away from like your dream pursuits, versus like, what's the worst? Just causes a little bit of tension in future work with them. And you even said it yourself. Most people like respect the hell out of the boundaries. And I would say most people are going to. So like, kudos to you, because I know that even made you uncomfortable. So like, that's a huge round of applause. And what else did I say? If we don't set the tone and stand up for ourselves now, we're just going to fucking turn into doormats where dominant personality types will walk all over us.
Yeah.
And I used to get walked on all the time. It's probably why I got back issues. So sticking up for yourself, sticking up for ourselves is a muscle you have to train. And it's going to feel awkward. I feel like you're in that awkward stage right now, but it does get easier. And the fact you've already set those boundaries with people and people were receptive, like, man, that had to feel good.
Oh yeah, it did. Yeah. I'm happy that it played out the way it did. I didn't expect that. So.
And I feel like, again, an uncomfortable conversation is around the corner, and just know, like, I'm here to jump on a call to role play things. Yeah. If you need it, we can scheme and dream up a plan going into it. But at the same time, man, like, keep flexing your muscle, keep standing up for yourself, keep weighing the pros and cons of like, man, if I say yes to this person again, what am I really saying no to? And I think that's the thing. It's like you're robbing yourself of so many different areas, family, your mental health, and your dream, by saying yes to a project that you're not even allocated for.
Yeah.
You know, so that's like a cookie cutter, one size fits all answers without knowing this person, but knowing your job isn't in jeopardy. And all it is just going to ruffle some feathers a little bit. Over time, this person may really, really start taking you seriously and, you know, really find you as a valuable asset. Because a lot of these people are just looking for pushovers. And then they really respect someone who isn't a pushover.
Totally. Yeah.
So more of a mindset thing. Is there anything else you kind of want to add to that? I want to like step down on my pedestal here, but believe me, I've been there, especially when I was new at the corporate job, man, I got pushed around big time. I was scared to have hard conversations. I'm like, fuck it. What do I got to lose here? I'm just going to go and let someone know how they're making me feel right now. And it always went pretty well, even though we still butted heads from time to time, but they weren't fun to work with.
Yeah, totally. I mean, yeah, I think I just have to suck it up and have the conversation now rather than later.
When you get like shit on 3 times in a row and then trying to have the conversation.
Yeah. I mean, I'd probably just run away at that point. I'll just go find another job. I don't know if I could like stay.
And then you're way stronger than that. You're so much stronger than that. Like, I see a little bit of more strength each week in terms of this lane of like truly stepping into this version of yourself. You know, I know just you putting out this type of work in terms of mental health and owning it, like that was uncomfortable. So like, look at where you've been since the beginning of this. And the next time that person starts stepping on toes, to me, that's like the time for that conversation, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
And if you know, like, oh my God, okay, I'm going to set a meeting, come and just call me and be like, dude, I need a hype man. I need a hype man, Scotty. I got a call. I got a meeting with them here in like an hour. Like, I need you real quick. I will drop what I'm doing. I'll put my kid to bed early. I will leave the gym real quick. I will get out of the bathroom, you know, and just make time to call with you. So, but you're doing a great job. And I see a lot of growth. Again, it's the internal work that leads to external results. And you're doing that internal work. It's not supposed to be easy. If it was easy, everybody would have this all mastered, and they don't.
Yep. Awesome.
Do you have anything else you want to add to it? I don't want to cut you off.
No, that's everything. Thank you.
Yeah. Just got your back. We all have each other's back here, and you're doing great. So
I appreciate it.
And we're going to celebrate once you get that call and that boundary set. We'll do chair spins, all kinds of stuff.
Oh yeah, I'll announce it to the whole group.
That'll be the big win of the week. And just give a round of applauses. All right. Kirsty, thank you. I appreciate you. And moving onward. Yeah, and that was a killer elevator pitch, right? I look in the chat. I'm like, damn. Yeah, I was like, I have no changes. No changes. That was a killer one. We got Kat, Strong Daddy, and Risa.
Hi.
So,
I'm Kat. I'm a fiber and crystal artist and facilitator for the Mystic Nomad community. I create and curate esoteric art, crystals, spiritual tools, and rituals. I help spiritual artists, healers, and community leaders tap into their authentic creative space through my Mystic Nomad Tuesday Transformation series, my content, and my products. My goal is to guide them to create intentional, impactful work that empowers and essentially elevates the collective.
Solid. And fun fact, when you and me had our discovery call, I was like, whoa, okay, I see you want to do all this. You want to build a community. I'm like, wow, your presence is too powerful. Like, we need to get you on camera. We need your voice out there. And now you're how many weeks into doing your show?
4.5.
Yeah. And you mentioned what your show was, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah. 4.5. And you have some help behind the scenes too.
Yeah, a lot of help, but not this week. I was so proud.
Not this week. Good. And by the time this comes out, we'll be like 6 weeks in a row with your show. And just doing a show in general or some type of like weekly format, episodic adventure is not easy, especially like getting to the first 10 weeks. But it's like each week, just put a little check mark. You showed up this week.
Heck yeah, showing up.
Yeah. What's kind of on your plate right now?
So I have a super busy week coming up with work. We have a big event that we're hosting this weekend. And so I really want to take this as like a bye week of like producing a new episode for next week, Tuesday. But I still want to be like thoughtful and intentional about my time and kind of not lose this really awesome momentum that I'm getting, just be a little bit more realistic. So I thought a really great way, especially now that I'm kind of like tackling my niche a little bit better and I'm getting like losing followers that don't really feel my vibe and then gaining followers that do feel my vibe. I just want to like connect and get to know my community better, like start conversations and like in a lot of pressure way, like keeping it playful. So I was thinking about doing like just writing down some ideas. This way, when I'm ready to like do a story, I can just quickly go in there and then grab something and start that conversation. So any thoughts or ideas or tips or tricks or cool ways of just like starting that conversation would be awesome.
So you really want to leverage stories more, number one, and then getting people to like engage and interact in what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So let me just dive into this. So let me just take it first through like your episode. Every time you do like a weekly episode, share that to your stories, share a link to it. And then maybe like ask a poll immediate afterwards and be like, hey, did this make sense to you? Or what was your biggest takeaway? Did you know this about crystals? Yes or no? Or do like a weekly kind of question, a weekly poll. So my friend, Karen Nugent, she does, here, let me pull this up. Oh, let's share your work real quick. I'm going to flex on you. Here we go. Oh my goodness. Killer. Great job with your episode artwork.
Thanks.
Loving all this.
You guys here in the group have really inspired like I don't ever consider myself like a drawer, an artist in that way. That's a big part of my story. But you guys have all inspired me to like dabble in it and play with it in my own way. My lines are never straight. So I'm kind of just owning
you made
it.
This.
So,
you created this from scratch. More of this.
Yeah.
More of this. Absolutely
cool.
More of this. You need to draw more.
Okay.
Please
I got
draw
it.
More. Yep. What I was going to say, Karen, she does something really, really cool with her audience. My friend, This Sweet Afternoon, she makes these crazy like treat boxes and stuff. And I've seen her really, really blow up. But every Wednesday, she runs a new poll of like, which would you choose? And then she kind of like breaks down 2 different options of what she'll be creating, which are these wacky recipes. And she's like blown up over on TikTok. She still has a day job with it. But basically she puts it in her audience's hands to decide what she makes. And it's so good. Like
Cool.
so crazy what she does. But like, that would be a huge thing of maybe have them influence like a crystal based piece, or like, which one do you like better? Show them a concept of 1 or 2, kind of like what Rice has been doing with certain things like that. I think that would be huge. Another idea that I had, use a poll or like use the question box answer to like gather interest on a specific subject or offering, like asking someone, like really starting to understand what your audience's biggest struggles with. And we can ask that at the end of every post. We could make a story specifically asking about it. And then anybody who responds, go and DM them, strike up a conversation. To me, like that's the next level of truly initiating engagement with someone.
Yeah.
So anybody who like answered yes, or anybody who sent you a question, like what's your biggest struggle? Like, give me an example. What would be something that you had? What's your biggest struggle when it comes to being a spiritual artist? Or, what would be a type of question that you would ask?
I don't know. You're putting me on the spot, Scotty.
That's what I do.
Like what is keeping you from creating? Like a block that's keeping you from moving forward and creating something.
Okay, here's an action item. This would be a great one for your next one. And let's do a question. Let's start in. Maybe we talk a little bit because you got that great presence. So talk a little bit and be like, I have a question for you. I want to be able to serve you better in this platform that I'm doing to really build community. And so like, I have a question. What is stopping you? What's holding you back? What's the biggest block that's holding you back from like creating, becoming the next version of yourself? Answer somewhere around here. Here's the Q&A box. Leave a question, like point and then put that shit over here. And you can always reshare their answers too. But anybody who answers, go deep with them. Dig deeper with them. Strike up a conversation. And anybody who does give an answer, copy and paste that shit and document that when we start building our editorial calendar. Also have like a little tab built up of like, we're tracking people's biggest struggles, dreams, and fears when it comes to things that you can uniquely serve them with, because they're helping you create content.
Yeah, absolutely. I also, there's something that Isaac and I did a couple weeks, like this past week, where he sent me this picture of this like thing of eggs that were all crystal. And I had him choose a crystal and then just like based on what he liked. And then we kind of talked about what the crystal that he chose. And then that was a way to really start up I thought that was a really creative way to like start up a conversation with the new followers that are coming in. It's like a simple question and then like not threatening, where they're like, oh yeah, I'll answer this, no problem. And then kind of starting that conversation, especially now where there's like DMs I'm able to get back to really easily.
I know. I think that's incredible. So yeah, we have polls, questions, sliders too. Hey, were you feeling today's post? Like, let me know, give it like a little slide. It's like a crystal or something like that. What else? Quizzes to connect with your audience. I would just be experimenting with all of those.
Cool.
I don't know if this is helpful.
Yeah, super helpful.
What other kind of questions do you have? Get your face more on stories for sure.
Yeah, I'm going to work. I am going to work on that. That's where my focus is, a little bit of just like connecting on a little bit more casual way. And I was super excited because I got although it's like a 3-part series, I got my video down to 7 minutes. So that was an exciting thing.
Hey, making it more digestible and learning how to edit yourself and getting an outline done and start taking yourself seriously and not procrastinating. Like so many big wins that we're getting each week with you.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely a transformation. It's really awesome.
Yeah, you're doing a great job. Round of applause for you.
Thanks.
Anything else you want to like sprinkle into the mix, or is that?
I think that's it.
All right. Give us your sign off.
Over and yeah.
All right. We got Strong Daddy. We got Michael Chang in the house. Thank you, Kat.
Hey, so I'm Michael Chang, aka Stronk, illustrator, designer, oversharer, recovering overthinker of Stronk prints. I create videos and illustrations that examines and provides humor-laden commentary about my personal and professional struggles with mental health and being a functioning human. My work encourages myself and like-minded humans to create a positive relationship with ourselves by honestly addressing our experiences and problems while trying to make people laugh.
You're the king of shake weights in a previous life.
King of shake weights, king of a lot of things that I probably wouldn't put on video anymore.
So what's going on in your world? Let's talk about like where you started and where you're at right now.
So I started with coming off of a long hiatus of just like creating in terms of even drawing. It was more work related, you know. It's like I got a commission or I got, someone wanted me to do something for them. I would just, I would make that, but I haven't made anything personal for probably a good 6 months. And I made most of my money on Twitch, and I knew that content creation was something that I wanted to stick with and fuse that with my art. I just wasn't really sure how at the time. And so then I saw, I think I've had I've been on your email list for a really long time, and I kept seeing your emails and stuff. And every now and then there'd be one that would hit a little different. It'd like hit you like right in that mood where you're thinking about that thing, and then you'd see the title and you'd be like, oh man,
hit you in the nuts.
I need to talk to this fucking guy, Yeah, it's just like, that it's just that those serendipitous moments would happen every now and then, where I was thinking about something. And so then eventually, like, it was like, I think it was a couple days before, like, everything closed up. I was like, all right, I'm going to do it. So finally, I think where I am now is, I think my intent has changed a lot. I think that's something that I tell people as advice, but I've never actually really done too often for myself. Like intent in terms of like the content. I've never really thought about who I'm marketing my stuff towards. I just think that if I make cool shit, people will be like, oh, cool shit. I want more of that. But I didn't really think like, oh, I should make this for this person, this for, because you believe in these pillars and because you believe, these are your cornerstones of who you are as a person. Like those aren't really stuff that I thought about. I just did everything so like spontaneously. And so now I think that's definitely been the biggest thing out of working with you, is just like continuously figuring out what the reason behind doing things, besides just being cool. Yeah.
Definitely. I think that's like powerful in itself. I don't want people to just wake up and feel like, okay, I'm just creating something cool today. Like you can get away with that. There's people who grow an audience doing that, but in such an oversaturated world, like just showing up and I'm just going to create something cool today. Yeah, that may work, but it's like, I'm trying to flip on that marketing switch to put someone in a better position for them to gain traction quicker, And so if we can be a little bit more intentional, I feel like you're in the season where you can start flipping on that switch. In the beginning, someone like Andy in the beginning, I'm just like, yo, you need to just get work out there, as well as like Tom. I'm like, yo, you just need to exist. Let's just get comfortable with what you're doing. But you've done it for a while. Now I feel like you are ready. And I feel like they're getting to the point where they're ready too. So moving forward, kind of what's going on in your world, or what kind of struggles or anything you want to talk about specifically on your mind?
So I think, well, first off, I admit, and own up to the fact that I did miss last week. I did the classic overthinking thing. And when I don't have an outlet for like all like the jumble of thoughts in my head, I tend to just overthink, and then I don't talk to anyone about it. And I'm not really like, I realize I hate that I need this, but I need social interaction. Like I need to talk to people and talk at people and explain my explain where I'm like, where I'm coming from. And some of it might be terrible or offensive or whatever, but I just need to say it so that I can place it in a place in my mind and like kind of like organize it all together.
I'm like,
and
dude,
I
you
think
invested
that
too much good money to not be leaning on the family and myself.
I know. Well, the family is a whole different thing. That's like, it's got like, Asian American immigrant
I was meaning
like
our
implications.
family.
Oh yeah,
Our
this family. Yeah.
Our
I thought you were talking
family.
about my family. I was like,
You paid too much good money to be in your family.
I don't think my grandpa just gets it at all. Like he just says engineering, doctor, lawyer. If it's not those three, that's not a job.
Here,
But,
us. You got my number, man.
That makes
I will shake
way
you out of
more
that
sense.
shit.
Yeah. So I think that's kind of where I was. And then I started to, I brought myself back from the overthinking. And so now I'm in a place where I'm trying to figure out what I want to know what your process is, I guess, or maybe like a suggestion or advice or what have you of like when you have your beliefs and your cornerstones and the things that make up who you are, like, do you have a process for turning that into content? Like how do you figure out like what's like, I guess I want to know what your process is, because I'm thinking about, because I've done this so non-intentionally, that now flipping that switch on for me has really like caused me to think almost too much. But so I was just wondering if you had any ways to like combat that, and also like, how do you come up with all of your ideas that are on your like content calendar?
So a lot of it is from listening to my audience and asking what they're struggling with.
Mhm.
I'm literally in the service business. It started off, I was creating for me, and I was my own perfect person, projecting the type of work that made me feel some type of way. And I would say that would be for you right now. You would be your own perfect person. What's the kind of stuff that lights you up, but also how can you add in an entertaining factor to it?
Right.
And I want to remove the overthinking. If you have one idea, go for it.
Yeah.
This is the one thing I'm gonna do this week. Get lost in it. And if that means we need to simplify it and it's just an illustration per week, if you feel like you're biting off too much more than you can chew at the moment, and you just need to I just need to figure out mastering the art of creating an illustration each week around a topic.
Right.
And then maybe speaking to your stories or something like that, or recording yourself on a video with it.
Right.
Just like maybe that's a phase one. How can you simplify the game right now?
Right.
Because overthinking leads to procrastination. Overplanning, overthinking, and perfectionism leads to procrastination. Then we miss weeks. When in reality, it's like, man, you could have just made that shit, pick a lane, attack it, and simplify the game. Do you feel like you're taking off too big of a bite to chew?
I don't think it's even just like taking too big of a bite to chew. I think what it is I already want to be there. Like
Danielle and I have plenty of conversations around this.
Like right now, like it's how it started with drawing. Like now that I'm there, or somewhere there, it's easy now to like just to start drawing and doing it and everything. But then when you're at the beginning and then everything kind of like isn't where you want it to be. It's like the Ira Glass video, where your tastes don't match up to like your skill level at the moment. And that's kind of like where I'm at right now. It's like I know that I want it to be better. But it's not better yet. And so that's like frustrating.
So something Jed and I talked about recently too, picking like 3 things that she really, really struggles with that she's working on. For right now, overthinking is a piece for you. This should be a piece of content. Wanting to already be there, overnight microwavable results should be a piece of content. It should truly, like, if I was you, if you're asking for advice right now, I'd be doing like some inner work and be like, yo, this is like the shit I need to work through. So I'm going to make content around it. But then you can be silly and goofy around it too. But at the end of the day, someone's going to find meaning in that, bake in an action step and be like, yo, speak from personal stories, things that you're going through. And then just be like, hey, if you happen to be dealing with this too, here's one thing that has helped me that maybe can help you. And then just bake in a takeaway. To me, that's giving value. Still speaking from experience. Like I started talking about my creative anxiety, and it was just to help me work through that shit. And then I'd be like, hey, if this is something you're struggling with, this is what works for me, a nightly meditation using Insight Timer app. And to me, that's giving value, but it's helping me work through shit. And it's just like creating content that means something to me at the end of the day. Like to me, that's intentional. Like I would
Right.
love to see you create a piece about overthinking.
Right.
Then I would love to see you create a piece about like, I want to challenge you to pick 3 topics of 3 big struggles of yours right now: overthinking, wanting the results already, and another one, willing to suck at something new, you know, going down this YouTube video channel route. Like, what's your thoughts on
Right.
something like this?
Yeah, I mean, I think I could definitely riff on something like that. I think it's like, I just had to keep snapping myself out of it and just do more and do it faster and think a little bit less, you know. I think that's just like where I'm at right now. I think I'm overcomplicating it. I know that I am. I'm getting in my own way, you know, like the classic phrases at this point. But I just need to
Rituals,
take the advice.
routines, and plan your attack the night before.
Right. I think that's, I haven't been doing that as much, planning the day.
If we don't have rituals and routines, we just wake up guessing each day, which leads to overthinking, which leads to procrastination, which leads to not having anything to show for our results or our efforts, you know? And so something I want to challenge you to do too, like I challenge Tom to do a weekly check-in with me every Thursday.
Okay.
Yeah. I want to put this on you, you know, like this is an accountability thing. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to hit you up every week. I got 12 people, you know, but I do the weekly check-ins, but like you can do like a late week check-in along with your Sunday check-ins for stuff, you know, let me know like, hey, I need some help with this, or I need an idea. I need you to light a fire under my ass, and I will do that.
Okay.
So I don't know if anything I've said has been helpful, but
that's been great.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add on top of this?
I think for now, I think that's it. I think
if not, follow up with me on the side. So you will be posting tomorrow, 100%.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to post Thursday. I'm going to just switch it over to Thursday, Friday, and that's going to be it.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. And are you ever going to post that video about your grandma on your Instagram? Or are you just keeping this just curated artwork?
I mean, I guess it could. I don't know why I didn't think about it.
Yeah, that should totally live here too, and then direct people to the full video, man.
Right. I always forget to do stuff like that, like repurposing. Yeah. I'm really bad at repurposing.
Well, let's keep taking one bite at a time. So make the game easy, simple, and follow up with me on the side if you have something else, okay?
Yeah, for sure. Appreciate it.
Brother. I appreciate you, Strong Daddy.
Peace.
Last but not least, we have Risa Roni, the San Francisco treat.
I'm Risa Sunchen. I run RKA Creative. I'm an identity and brand designer. I specialize in custom logos, package designs, and visual systems for businesses that want to elevate their brands through authentic and eye-catching identities so that they can connect with their ideal audience.
Great job. And you kind of have a crazy situation going on too in your world. Let's talk a little bit about where we're at before the program and kind of where you're at right now. You know, some of these big wins, transformations, you know, like mental mindset shifting stuff.
Yeah, for sure. So before the program, I have my day job at crazy hours. I know I wanted to focus on logos and identity design and packaging, but at my current job, I do none of that. And it's just I work for a big company, ESPN, and I just, I kind of felt really unmotivated outside of work to do like what I wanted to do because of the time and my energy. And then when I did do or find time to do it, I was kind of lost or didn't know where to start or what to do really. So when I joined this program, you pushed me to like hire myself and do these personal projects and post on Instagram. And now I've finished 2 projects now and been consistent on Instagram. And that really boosted my confidence because I wasn't posting on Instagram or posting my work out there. I felt like an imposter. And I was like, even kind of now still, I catch myself feeling like, why is posting this project? What's the reason for doing this? Why is anyone going to take me seriously? Like, this isn't even real. Like, I don't have real clients yet. I'm not doing real packaging right now. So I'm still like kind of building my confidence, but it's definitely changed. And yeah, that's kind of what I'm still figuring it out now. And I know we talked about not really niching down right now. I don't need to in this season. So I'm trying to explore different styles and get my technical skills down. And yeah, I'm still figuring things out.
No, and you have been doing a stellar job with this. And I remember like at the beginning of the program, I was thinking by the end of the 12 weeks, it'd be cool to have like 2 or 3 projects done. I was like, how about we shoot for 5 to 6 projects? And you're like, whoa, I don't know. That sounds like a lot of work. And I don't know. That just sounds like too much for me. And I'm like, well, this is all about pushing yourself. Let's really try to like push this at least like a project every 2 weeks. And look at that, dude. You've just been like slanging them.
I did not think I would have a project done in 2 weeks. Honestly, I was like, no, I need a full month to do a logo. And then it's been, every 2 weeks I've done a project. So
it's because you're not being so precious about it. Your projects are time bound. Here are my days for posting. And here's when I have a project done. And I know I kind of have in a queue what my next projects are going to be.
No, I was going to say that has helped a lot with just focusing myself too. So,
and like really pushing yourself from your presentation standpoint, your caption writing, your storytelling, in terms of building more calls to actions and getting engagement, just all little small things at the end of the day of, for you, it's like, hey, my Instagram is a tool for me to get hired, but it's also a way for me to build community around what I'm doing. So it's like a 2-headed approach. Here's 1A is get hired, and 1B would be to like grow community around it, which is totally possible to do both.
Right. Yeah. That's something I'm trying to still feel out. And sometimes I'm still like, how am I supposed to get clients from this? I don't know where my clients at.
You're planting seeds.
Yeah.
We're planting seeds. And you were on like that Clubhouse last week when you heard like 2 of my students who put in the work during the program, and it yielded and blossomed into like massive seeds sproutage for them like down the road. So everything you're doing is a seed planting. That's everything we're doing right now. Every time we share something online, that's a seed.
Right. Yeah. I'm reminding myself to be patient, and it's going to grow over time. So I have to just keep showing up. So.
And a big win too. You're like, man, is anybody going to take me seriously? And you recently like told me and us, I think it was on the last call, about like your roommate. Right. Speak a little bit towards that too, because I'm a big believer. I'm like, yo, nobody's going to take you seriously if you don't take your work or yourself seriously. And I think that's what this program is about.
Right. So, so with my crazy day job, my shifts are just draining, but after I get off or before my shifts, I'm working on my side hustle and doing my grind and just focusing. And so my roommate told me that she considers this my second job, because I'm going from one work to the other, and I'm always doing this and working on this and focusing. And so she was like, it's like your second job. So
to me, that's just like, yes, when you start taking yourself seriously and treating your side hustle like it's your full-time grind, it's just, you're creating a different kind of breed. People will notice it. Not everyone's going to understand it, right. But in time, it's like, you're going to make yourself known by the work you're doing now. So definitely want to give you some mad props to it, because you have a crazy, crazy, crazy hectic job, and the work that you're doing now is pretty insane. So you should be proud of yourself. I know we're all proud of you.
Thanks. I do feel pretty proud actually of myself. I didn't think I could get to.
You were like, I don't even know if I can make all the calls. I'm like, we will work around it. And you've been able to make every call.
Every call. Yeah.
Right. So is there anything else you kind of want to add on top of this?
No, I think that's it. I'm just trying to figure out my style, I guess. I don't even know if I need a style, because what I do is for brands and businesses, and it's for them. So I'm still trying to figure out, like, do people have a style with this, or do I have a niche?
During your season, just keep going with your gut and experimenting. Push these limits right now. Who knows, a year from now, you could stumble across a super proprietary style that people can't get enough of, but no one needs to force that right now.
Right.
Okay. Let it come to you. Build it and they shall come.
Right. Okay.
All right. Well, I appreciate you, Raisa. And at the end of every call, I always have a student land the plane. And what landing the plane is like bringing us all together, letting everybody go out with just like a positive message, set the tone for the rest of the week. So this week we have Senior Brennan Gilbert. Can you land the plane for us tonight?
Yes, sir. It was great to hear from y'all. I think this has just been such a cool experience, and it seems like that's felt with every single one of us. So everybody kick butt this week. Do a good job. Y'all are killing it. And go team.
Woo, go team. Thanks again for listening. It'd be awesome if you took the time to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and let the comment below so we can connect. Again, if you want to catch a shout out as a future listener of the week, make sure you subscribe to the show on iTunes and give it a rating and review.